feel that God's calling is for you where you're at right now?
Yeah, it's a good question. I've never been somebody who felt a lot of assurance on what my calling was in a narrow sense, called in a particular profession or a particular job. I just never really thought that way, and I've at least never received messages that to me were anything more than potentially intuitions or desires, human desires that I have. So when I think about my calling, it's pretty simple. I just try and think about sort of a life of integrity, a moral integrity, intellectual integrity, be faithful, treat people well, particularly people over whom you have power, and just be a witness there. I think professionally speaking, I'm in a different position now than I was when I was working in the White House. I write about politics, I write about culture, but I also write about faith and not just politics and faith, but really reflections and meditations on Jesus. So I've done, a dozen or more for the New York Times. I've done some for the Atlantic. And then for the Atlantic, I've also done profiles of people of faith who are friends of mine, people I admire: Gary Haugen at International Justice Mission, Francis Collins, Tim Keller, Philip Yancey, Mike Gerson, and Russell Moore and others. So I would say that is probably I feel like that's the most meaningful writing that I do, which is the reflections on faith. I think because faith is pretty core to who I am and who I've been, and it's also a way for me, often in my writing, I would say, to kind of work through my own questions and my own thoughts, and sometimes bring readers along with with me. So I feel like it's a real privilege to be able to write on the things that I can and to have the platforms that I have. But I don't know if I feel like it's a calling. I try and be faithful given the position that I have. But in the end, as David Brooks said, the things that matter are the eulogy virtues, and those are the ones that the resume virtues are nice, but they just aren't as meaningful. And so that's kind of how I think about it. I'm not even sure that it's the right way to think about it. It's just the way that I am, the way that I'm hardwired, and so I've just never had a really strong sense that God is calling me in this position work-wise, but I've been unbelievably fortunate in the work that I've been able to do.